Alrighty, y'all. We are going over the second half of 35.2 and a little bit of 35.3 in this lesson. So let's get started. Second half of 35.2, we're starting with nerve tissue conducts signals rapidly. Two general types of nerve tissue. We've got neurons, which is this guy up here. He's a neuron. These are specialized cells for the transmission of nerve impulses. So this cell's job is to transmit impulses. Okay. Second one is glial cells. These guys are supporting cells for the neuron. So they insulate the neurons and provide them with nutrients. So this guy is an insulator, this kind of darker color. He's a Schwann cell. He's a type of glial cell, okay, that helps insulate our axon here, okay? So he's a helper. He's just helping out this big old neuron here. So parts of neurons, two main parts that we'll talk about. We've got dendrites. Now dendrites are these kind of like spidery looking things up here that are off the side of the cell body, which is this guy, the main part of the cell. This cell also has a very clear nucleus right here. So these dendrites act as antennae for reception of nerve impulses from other cells or sensory systems. So these kind of antennae here, their job is to take in impulses. So they're taking in impulses here. The axon, this whole big dude, is a long tubular extension of the neuron that carries the nerve impulse away from the cell body. So the impulse is going into the cell body and then is coming down and out the axon and will exit these axon terminals. Okay? Alrighty, moving forward. Next, we have muscle tissue permits movement. So this is the muscle section. Now we have this actin and myosin. All you need to know is that they're super abundant in muscle cells. They're super common in muscle cells, and they're just protein filaments, okay? They're just in there. They're called actin and myosin. I don't expect you to know the difference. Just know kind of at least what category they fall into, okay? There are three types of muscle, okay? We've got smooth muscle. These are your organ muscles, the muscles of your digestive system. So if you want to think for a minute about that lab that you see on TV where they hold a kid by his ankles and he hangs upside down and drinks a glass of water, right? And that water doesn't shoot right out of his nose or anything wild like that. It actually does go down his esophagus, which I guess if he's upside down would be up his esophagus. Anyway, goes down his esophagus, and his esophagus has a muscle around the outside that kind of pinches shut and squishes that water all the way up, down, squishes it towards his stomach, okay? That way, this kid doesn't have the water coming out of his nose. So the smooth muscle are organ muscles, okay? They're in your digestive system, they are in a bunch of other systems, but your digestive system is the easiest one to kind of think about without without too much confusion, okay? So your skeletal muscle is the next type of muscle, the next category of muscles. These are muscles that move the skeleton. So think about your bicep. Your bicep moves the skeleton that's in your arm, right? Moves the bones that are in your arm. Your, I don't know, your muscles in your hands move your fingers, right? Your calves move your feet. Uh, Muscles that you can move, basically. Muscles that move your skeleton that make you move. Last but not least, well, last and definitely not least, one of the most important types of muscle is your cardiac muscle. These are the muscles of the heart, okay? These are the muscles that are continuously beating to keep your blood flowing, to keep you alive. Thank you, cardiac muscles. Really bad joke here. Elon Muskle. Instead of Elon Musk, or he's Musk. You get it. Okay, moving forward. 11 organ systems questions and slide. So let's talk about the first two questions, then we'll go over the 11 systems, and then we'll talk about the third question. First question, question 1. What's the difference between a dendrite and an axon? Tell me the difference. Number 2, what are the three types of muscle, and what does each do? And number 3, so this one's going to ask you to read organs and organ systems. It's like a paragraph on page 834. Okay, it's at the very bottom, and the table on 835. And that's like a half a page, but it's pretty short relatively. Now, before you do that, I'm going to list these 11 systems, and I'll give you a general of each, so when you reread it, it's very familiar. So we've got our muscular system. Okay, these are skeletal and smooth muscles, right? That's what counts for the muscular system, so it's your muscles. Your skeletal system, all the bones in your body. Your integumentary system, which is all of your skin. Your reproductive system, which is your male and female parts, as well as pretty much anything that helps humans reproduce, right? Your urinary system, which includes your kidneys, your urinary bladder, and all that kind of fun stuff. Your respiratory system, which includes your lungs, your air passages, your trachea, all that. Your digestive system, which includes your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, large intestine, liver, pancreas, like this whole big, like, bundle of things. Your lymphatic system, and this one is also called your immune system. Okay, so your lymphatic system and your immune system are the same. This includes white blood cells and anything inside of your body that helps attack the bad things, right? That helps go after viruses, bacteria, and all that. Your endocrine system is next. Your endocrine system is like various like glands, like your thyroid, your adrenal gland, your pancreas, your pituitary gland. These glands secrete hormones throughout your body and basically are kind of like control centers of your body. They're helping you, they help determine your height, they help determine how hungry you are, lots and lots of things like that. Your circulatory system, which sorry, is your heart, your blood vessels, your lymphatic vessels, like the blood and stuff that moves your blood, okay? And your nervous system, last but not least, your brain, your spinal cord, your nerves, your sense organs, all of that kind of thing, okay? So, now that you have kind of a general of those guys, go ahead and do that reading. List the 11 systems, and then explain integumentary, endocrine, immune, and nervous. I picked 4 that were kind of the least likely for you to know off the top of your head, so that way you can get to know these kind of weird 4. Most of them you know. I know you've heard of your respiratory system, I know you've heard of the muscular system and the skeletal system before, but some of them are a little weird, like integumentary, endocrine, and immune for you guys. If you want a little bit more of a challenge because you're like, oh my gosh, this is super easy, I'm really bored, please help challenge me, check out the videos below. They are nervous system, immune system, and muscular system. They are really cool and dig a little bit deeper into what we're talking about here because we won't be able to, sadly. If you don't need too much of a challenge, what I would recommend is maybe the first 4 or 5 minutes of each. Once it gets past that, it starts to get a little bit too in-depth, but it's still really interesting information. So those 3 um, uh, videos, you are welcome to pick one. You are welcome to, if you really don't feel like watching them, that's okay. They are not super necessary. It's kind of your call. Okay? Move forward. Homeostasis. So this is 35.3. I am super shortening 35.3 because although very important, it's a little repetitive. So big things in homeostasis. Homeostasis is the maintenance of internal stability of a cell, organism, or population. Okay, so staying stable. To understand what that means, let's talk about a feedback loop. So when the central nervous system gathers information about the body's condition, evaluates it, and issues commands to counteract any deviation from normal conditions. So that sounds like a lot, but let's talk about that in context with a negative feedback. Negative feedback prevents a variable like temperature from deviating from its normal value. So we want temperature to stay the same, right? Our internal body temperature is about 98.6. Many people have started to notice that humans are actually generally a little bit cooler than that. We are closer to 98 than 98.6 at this point, but either way, let's just go 98 just so I don't have to keep saying 0.6. Let's say we're at 98 degrees, right? Your body is happy there. That is your set point at 98 degrees, right? So all of a sudden, you are outside in the sunshine and you are getting super hot. You're starting to sweat, right? You're not starting to sweat yet. We gotta go through the feedback loop. You're super hot. Your nervous system realizes about the body's condition. We're really hot. Something's wrong, right? It evaluates it. It's far too much. And then it issues a command to counteract that deviation. So your body says, oh, I should sweat so that my temperature goes back down. Okay? So then you sweat and your temperature goes down. Then, let's say you go into a super, super cold movie theater. You're icy cold in there, and you're sitting in the chair, and you're sitting there, and your central nervous system is gathering information, right? It goes, oh, what's the temperature of the body now? It evaluates it. Oh my gosh, it's way too cold in this movie theater after having sweat so much. Then it issues the command to counteract that deviation would be to shiver, right? So your body says, I should shiver so that I can increase my temperature so that I'm not cold anymore, right? So that's kind of what's going on with that feedback loop. Negative feedback is our most common type of feedback loop. A much less common is called positive feedback. This is a change in a variable that causes the body to push a variable further from the initial value, okay? So it's taking that set point, right? And we'll use that same previous one to show you how kind of very, very different that is. Let's take that set point at 98 degrees. Now imagine getting a little bit warmer, getting up to 100 degrees, and your body going, oh, it's hot. I should make it hotter. And shivering instead of sweating and causing your body to warm up more and more and more, right? So that's how different that is. That's not something that happens. This is mostly, we talk about this in childbirth, right? When a mother is giving birth to her child, as that child is starting to try and come out, the mother's contractions will actually get stronger. And they will continue to get stronger until the child is no longer inside of her, until she gives birth, right? So that whole concept of positive feedback is the body making that variable, right, those contractions in the mother's abdomen stronger and stronger until it's over with, until it's done, which is kind of cool. But that's a difference there between positive and negative feedback. So make sure you understand negative is keeping it at a set point, positive is increasing exponentially until something happens. Okay, moving forward. Ooh, final questions. Okay. So here I'm asking you to please read 841 to 844.8. I know that that sounds like a lot. It is not too awful, I promise. Okay, it is a lot though. Vast majority of it you've actually seen bits and pieces of before. Again, it's the highlights section. So it's 3 to 4-ish paragraph, like mini paragraphs on each page with a lot of pictures and a lot of kind of labeling so that you really get to see each and every system for itself. So please just understand that that's kind of what that guy's for. Just so that you can get a good taste of each of the systems without having to dig super, super crazy into it. And then you'll answer 20 through 23 on page 850. Please do answer in complete sentences. Thank you so much. Okay. And that's it. So, that's all I got for you for chapter 35. That's really the end of it. This made me smile the other day. J.K. Rowling may be a little wild sometimes, don't get me wrong, but she's the first billionaire to fall off the billionaire list because of charitable giving. Can you imagine that? Being so kind that you that you give until you lose your billionaire status and be the first person to do that. That's crazy awesome. And if Sam can take on a giant spider, Tower of Orcs, and save Frodo, you can finish this school year. And this homework, or whatever you want to call it. Alright guys, you're awesome. You've got this. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.